Hey guys, DJ AJ101 here, and I found another little interesting article that I thought I'd share with you guys. It's from theloopinsight.com, and it's actually about the iPad. It's about that group at the Software Usability Research Laboratory, or SURL, has done a research study on the iPad and found that 83%, just over 83% of people are very satisfied with their iPad. Now, I'm sure this comes as no surprise. The iPad's pretty much been a blockbuster hit ever since it came out in early 2010. But they actually did a research study on found out what people are using their iPad for the most. And as you can see by my screen right here, I'll kind of go down, and it kind of goes down and saying, well, what people would have wanted in the original iPad, like a camera and multitasking. Then after Apple added that, satisfaction even went up even more because those are the main features that people really wanted to see. Especially a camera for doing like FaceTime chat or video calling on Skype. And of course, it says overall that customers are very satisfied with the iPad and even the iPad 2. No surprise there. But as it goes on further in the studies, you can see from the pie charts right here, as far as how many apps are installed, a lot of users have 21 to 40 apps installed, which is quite a few apps, depending on what they do with their tablet. And it says, how many apps would you use regularly. A lot of people use 6 to 10 apps regularly. I probably don't use that many. I probably use 3 to 5, which is probably in the 1 to 5 category, which is the second most category that's used 35% from 40%. And it says, how often do you carry your iPad? And it says, quiet iPhone. And it says only when traveling is the main reason, 52%, which isn't that surprising because the iPad is so light and portable that it can almost replace your laptop in a big way. So I can easily see that, even though some people do need a laptop when they're traveling for business and they need to do a lot of typing and they don't want to carry a keyboard and they really could use a full-scale computer. Probably the main reason that that's so popular. And I know another reason that they have here is 21% almost every time I go out, which is kind of crazy. I don't even do that. But do you share your iPad? Majority said no. Obviously, because the iPad is really like a personal device. It's kind of like your phone in a way. A lot of people use their iPads in the living rooms and in the bedrooms, which is no dirty jokes, just kidding. But I use it a lot. When I'm in bed, I prefer that over a laptop, over my MacBook Air, because it's so portable and it almost feels more usable when you're just propping your head up and you're trying to read something on the iPad in bed and you're not like having to adjust the screen or the keyboard and you got to look like this. And I said it's much more personal and intuitive, I think, in a personal situation, kind of like in your living room watching TV, and if you're in your bed getting ready to fall asleep, maybe watching a movie on YouTube or something like that. So I think that that those are honestly true for me. I don't know about you guys, but leave a comment below. If it's always leave a comment below if you guys got a question or something like that. Awesome. Hours of use. With the iPad and activities, browsing the web. I personally use browsing the web more than anything, so it's cool to see that that's the top reason. Weekly activities, watching YouTube is the big one. Online shopping as well. Monthly activities with the iPad, listening to audio. I can't believe that it's actually listening to audio. You'd think that a lot of people would have an iPod or an iPhone or an Android phone that they'd be listening to audio. But monthly activities with the iPhone, the biggest one is 40%, and it's listening to music. I don't know, do you find that interesting? But I was kind of surprised by that. I would think that people would maybe own an iPhone or an iPod. Activities never done with the iPad. Now this really caught, and this is really one of the main reasons I'm making this video. When I saw this, I said activities never done with iPad. It goes creating music, creating documents for school, editing photos, creating music, chatting, and then taking pictures or videos. So basically content creation apps. That activities are never done with the iPad. I know, and this is why I find this really interesting, because Steve Jobs has been famously quoted for saying that the iPad can be a content creation device. But then again, a majority of the people that are using the iPad do not create content. It's basically for media consumption, audio and video, and of course, online on the internet, you're browsing the web. So I don't know if that's going to change, with more powerful apps coming out, or if that will ever change from that, or maybe you'll always need a PC or something, of the post-PC area to do any real production kind of work. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But as of right now, a lot of the activities never done are content creation, which is kind of surprising because Steve honestly truly believed that it would be a content creation device. You'd be able to, edit your photo collection, kind of like an iPhoto. You'd be able to do some video editing, type of documents and spreadsheets and stuff like that. And that was kind of the major interesting thing I found about this. Other e-readers owned. Kindle Fire was the second biggest to none. A lot of people do not own an e-reader if they have an iPad, which isn't, I don't think it's that surprising. Then activities done with the iPad for work. uses a reference tool, create and edit documents, creates presentations or documents, so on and so forth. Access a remote desktop, stuff like that. But what do you guys think of this article? I'll leave the link in the description below if you guys would like to check this out. And I'm not just doing this to praise the iPad, even though the iPad's been crazy successful. I mean, it speaks for itself. I don't need to speak for it. But do you guys really think that these are the main reasons that people are using for the iPad, even though the study says that it is? And I'm sure you guys will give me some weird answers, but that's all right. Leave a comment or a question below. Send me a message. But the main thing is, do you think the iPad will ever be used as a content creation device? Do you ever think that Steve Jobs will be right in saying, well, people can create a lot of stuff on this. It's basically going to be like a PC, but you can do a lot more in creation eventually. Do you guys ever think that'll come about, or do you always think that we'll need the traditional PC, desktop, laptop type interface to do more creation, like video editing and photo sharing and photo editing and documents and stuff like that? Or do you think iPad software and tablet software in general will eventually come up to par and be able to do a lot more in a touch interface type setting, kind of like an iPad? Or just let me know what else you guys think. I'd like to hear what your comments are. What do you think about this article? I think it's a neat insight, on what can be done with the iPad. But I think a lot still can be built on top of the iPad in general. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Rate if you would like. Thumbs up always helps me, and also subscribing will help me if you like my content. I produce videos on a regular basis, and I hope you guys enjoy them. Just technology content, unboxings, and so on and so forth. Anyways, guys, this has been DJ AJ 101 here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great one till then, guys.